It's lovely to see you all, legs and all. I'm Irit. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Digital Turbine, and I'm a total PMM geek. I like geeking out about everything product marketing, so thank you, PMA, for organizing an event where I can geek out more about product marketing. I'm here to talk to you about structuring your team for success, but before I do, maybe it's a good idea for me to introduce myself. As I said, I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Digital Turbine, and what Digital Turbine does in a nutshell is helping the mobile ecosystem grow by supporting the three main players of the mobile ecosystem. So we support app developers with user acquisition and monetization tools. We support telcos and OEMs with app and content discovery on their devices. And we support brand advertisers with unique and engaging ad experiences. And from that complexity, you could understand that being a PMM on Digital Turbine team is no walk in the park. A bit about me and my career journey in PMM. I started my product marketing career about 9 years ago at Facebook, aka Meta. I'm calling it Facebook. I was leading the efforts on the SMB team across EMEA, across more than 100 different advertising products, which made prioritization a really big challenge. As you know, Facebook is a product-led team, so we used to say that the product is our best salesperson, but we also had 300 people in the product marketing organization, and we had 3 different sub-teams. Fast forward into 2 years ago, I joined Digital Turbine as the Director of Product Marketing and leading a global team across different time zones and across different 10 products around distribution, monetization, and advertising. At Digital Turbine, we're a sales-led company, and also we have a hybrid model where we align some PMMs to product lines or solutions, and some PMMs to audiences. And we're going to touch more about different structure and why it makes sense in a few more slides. Now, I'm presenting this today, but this is not just based on my experience. I had a lot of interviews and a lot of chats with different leaders, product marketing leaders across the industries, across different companies and different types of companies that they work for, because I really wanted to understand what are the common challenges that product marketing leaders have when structuring a PMM team. So let's talk about the challenges for a bit. And they've all identified these 4, and I would like to discuss them in this talk. So the first one is that there's so much we could do as PMMs. And you can see that that's a current theme around these 3 days, 2 days of chats. We also have different ways and different scenarios where we could structure a PMM team. And by the way, guys, there's no one-size-fits-all. There's no guide, right way or wrong way to do it. So it kind of depends, and we'll talk about what it depends on. Another aspect of a challenge is that the PMM role is not yet clear to everyone. And you know the pain points of understanding and explaining again what you do and how you bring value to the table. And last but not least, and that really affects the structure of a PMM team, is the fact that the career growth, and you've all talked about it just today, career growth isn't as straightforward in product marketing as it is in other types of industries. So these are the 4 challenges that all of the product marketing leaders I've talked to have identified. And there is so much we could do. This is just a short list of all our responsibilities. We have so much that we could do across our functional responsibilities, our expertise, our domain expertise, our functional expertise, across product, across marketing. This is just too much and gives me anxiety. So how do we organize around it, and how do we think about structuring our team for success? Well, our first stage is just defining what success means for us. So I define a successful PMM structure if the team structure is aligned to company's growth stage, goals, and focus, if the scope and role expectations are clearly defined, if people understand what they're doing, if stakeholders understand what we're doing, they understand how much value we bring to the business. And also, and a big chunk of it, is keeping people happy, fulfilled, and seeing career growth opportunities. So let's talk about the team structure and how it is important to align it to to the company's stage or scope. A few questions that you might want to ask yourself there. What does it mean to be a PMM in your company? So a company stage does impact the role or scope of PMM. So early stage companies are trying to get their product market fit. They're still in the discovery of their ideal customer and also have limited resources. So PMMs tend to focus on product launches, content creation, the fundamentals of go-to-market, and also competitive analysis. So the competitive analysis it's a recurring theme across PMM. Now, a company that is more advanced in growth stage is more established. Scope and team structures are a bit better defined, but they're thinking about what is their growth opportunity, knowing that what got them into this point won't get them into their next growth stage. So thinking about how do we get those growth opportunities. And also, we enabling others, we want to enable that growth across the organization. So PMM tries to focus more on the why, really anchoring the why in positioning and messaging. Feature launches as the product progresses and becomes more advanced. Customer feedback, cross-functional enablement, and customer and competitive analysis, as I said. Now, with the mature company, it's a bigger company, so we kind of understand the ownership and different processes are well-defined. And what we're thinking about is how do we create sustainable growth? How do we achieve that over time? And thinking about different economic climate as well, that's important. And by that point, we are in a multi-product or multi-service company. So PMM tend to focus more on the long-term goals, that multi-product story, new products that are coming in, the cross-sell, the upsell, still cross-functional enablement, and competitive analysis. Now, this type of framework might have been true for the last 10 years, but I feel like the last year has really changed or accelerated that process. So I encourage you to think, how does that change what you're expecting from an early stage or growth stage PMM? So just some things that you might want to consider when you're building out your PMM team. Another aspect that I love to look at, having worked with both sales-led companies and product-led companies, is the focus of PMM and how it changes in those different types of companies. So really quick, in a product-led company, your product is the driving force around acquisition, retention, so it really is your salesperson. And PMMs in that company tend to focus more on the conversion funnel, on persona building, user journey, pricing, packaging, retention, and their collaboration is more leaning towards product. Now, this is not to say that they don't collaborate with business teams or sales teams or customer success teams, but because the product is that front and center, we work mostly with product teams, and we focus more of our collaboration on that. Now, in a sales-led company, where we tend to rely on our sales force to drive business growth, PMMs focus more on sales training and collateral, objection handling being specifically something that we do a lot of. We tend to look at win-loss analysis, client meetings, solution marketing, and our collaboration tends to be more on the sales side. Now, again, this is not to say that we don't collaborate with product teams, but our focus really lies on how do we enable sales, how we serve that driving force behind the business. So just a few things to consider when you are thinking about where do I want to focus my PMM team when I'm thinking about the structure. So let's talk about the different structure you could have. Now, there are a lot of scenarios there. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I could point out a few scenarios and talk a bit about what's good, what's bad, what you should consider. So you can organize a team around a product line. So if a company has multiple product lines, you're able to align better with your product managers. And that creates that full stack PMM that really drives it all for that product. Now, the risk is that you might create silos. So we saw that in our team, when we were focused on product lines, it was quite hard to really get out of that because everyone was working on its own. So just something to consider. You can organize your team by function. And these are a few functions that I chose. Competitive intel, positioning, messaging, product launches, sales enablement, for example. You have a dedicated person or people for those functions. So that gives you a really subject matter expert on a specific topic. But the risk is, well, you have a few things to consider there. The risk is that you need to rely quite heavily on people collaborating. But also, your workload might skew towards one area rather than the other. Let's say sales enablement is a big focus, and that person kind of gets overloaded. So things to consider. You could organize your team by segment or audience. We did that at Digital Turbine, and the reason why we did that is because we understood that we want to focus on a specific audience and that specific conversation with an audience. So you could choose either SMB enterprise type of structure or a specific audience. I've just listed a few of those that we want to focus on at Digital Turbine: agency, telco, app developer. Another possibility is to organize a team by solution. So a solution is a bit higher than a product line, so it actually gives you the result that you want to deliver with that product. For example, monetization, brand awareness, user acquisition, that would be a solution-based type of organization. Or you could have by business objective, have your fluid team and kind of have a very free-flowing type of team structure. And the risk there is for people to lose focus and also get a bit disorganized when it comes to what they want to achieve. There's also a possibility to organize a team by vertical or by industry. We did that at Facebook, where we had subject matter experts around verticals, and that really enabled us to represent the voice of the customer and with specific use cases of a product. There's also a buying journey stage, your own creation, or a hybrid team model. So as you can see from that very long-winded answer of how should I structure my team, you have many, many different possibilities to build a team. And there's no right or wrong answer. The question is, what is your team, what is your company focusing on? What are their gaps? What are the things that they want to achieve in the short, near, and long-term future? So here are a few questions to get you started. What are their challenges and pain points? What are their gaps in achieving goals? And what could PMM own? That's really important, because we don't want to get somebody else's responsibilities there. What are the long-term goals? But also, who in the company is your ally? And that's also important because you kind of want to work with people who understands what you bring to the table. So if the product team is not your ally, maybe you should consider to have something that is more aligned to sales or customer success. It really does depend. Let's talk about role definition and why is it important to align your team and others about what they do. And you've probably seen this chart a few times during this conference. And this is from the Product Marketing State of Product Marketing report. And I counted 11 different responsibilities that more than 50% of respondents answered. So it's really easy to get lost when you can do everything, right? So it's up to us as managers and leaders to define what product marketing means for that organization, for that company. And we could do that by doing a few different things. The first one is really preparing a vision for the team, a vision that really brings out what kind of value we bring to the business, but not just stopping there, because the vision tends to be a bit fluffy. Really talking about what we're going to deliver on, how we're going to do it, how we're going to measure ourselves, and socializing this with our stakeholders. This is the vision we prepared at Digital Turbine for our PMM team. It's quite a catch-all thing, where we say that the org objective is to drive business growth by bridging between the market, our product and business teams, translating product capabilities into business value and outcomes, and amplifying this through our messaging and marketing activation. That's a long one. But what was important for us to emphasize there, and I took these elements from Martina Lukashenko's Loved. If you haven't read it, go ahead and read it because it's the best product marketing book I've read. We have the strategist who orchestrates that go-to-market, really defines the business growth and how that looks like. We have the connector, and that's my own riff onto Martina Lukashenko's ambassador. I see a connector as a big role of PMM. So really bridging between the market, product, and business teams. The storyteller, really translating that value prop into messaging, positioning. An evangelist, enabling others to tell your great product story. But I took it a step further, and I really wanted to demonstrate to your organization, what does that mean? So I listed, how do we do this? How do we achieve that vision? You do this by owning this. And we build these key relationships, and owning and pointing out the organization I want to build those connections with. What do we deliver on? And listing a list of examples of what we deliver on, and how we measure success, qualitative, quantitative, and we had a few. So understanding product adoption, revenue through product, but also qualitative messages from our sales counterparts or our product counterparts. Let's talk about stakeholder management. And that's like the continuation of how we deliver against that vision. We kind of need our stakeholders to understand what we're doing and how we provide value to the organization. So you all know that we're misunderstood. We have a book about it. So it's no surprise that about 4% of PMMs feel like their role is completely understood within their company. And in that type of reality, this means that we need to communicate early and communicate a lot with our stakeholders about the different values that we bring, but also asking their advice. And I feel that whenever it comes to team structure or really fulfilling what you need to do as a support structure or enabler, we need to ask their advice. What would be best to structure the team as? What would you expect from a product marketing manager as a partner? Setting expectation on what we can deliver or what we cannot. And once the structure is in place, over communicating that again to the organization or your stakeholders. Then having regular cadence with your stakeholders and encouraging the team to do the same. Now, I have a format that I found very successful in getting everyone on the same page, and that's literally just the plan on a page. So having one page where you bring out the mission and vision that you have for your team and tie it back to the company goals. Then a high-level strategy of what you want to focus on, as well as areas of focus, whether it's product, audience, or something else that you want to define. Listing a few actions that you want to take. This is not a plan that needs to cover everything, but it would need to have an idea of how you could deliver it to an outsider. So a stakeholder like someone for product, you're able to say, hey guys, does this make sense for you? Does this resonate with what you're planning on? Is this the best use of my time this half? And of course, measurement, which is really important. Last but not least is delighting your people. So why is it so important to have happy and fulfilled people on your team? I don't know. That's like the basis of what we're trying to do when it comes to our job, right? Our PMM reality is it's really easy to drown in work. So remember that list of things that we're responsible for. It's very hard to really understand how you make impactful work. And that happens a lot when some of the work is reactive rather than proactive, but also it happens when people don't really understand what you're doing, how you bring value. If you kind of feel like you're not making an impact or you're not progressing. And that is also really hard to demonstrate because it's not straightforward in the career path. So how do you do it? How do you support your team when you manage them, when you really want to elevate them? And this is where my quotes come in. I'm a big geek, so I like the leadership books, and some of it are fluff, and some of them are really nice. But Leadership is a really good book, and it has a really good quote that I felt really demonstrates the style that I do, that I have in leading my team. which is great leaders don't simply climb up the ladder. Through mentoring, they build ladders for others to climb. So that's the fluff, but still true. And the other one is the real one, which is from Multipliers, which is a really good book, one of the best I read around leadership. And this is everyone is capable of growth. And carve out roles and responsibilities the way you shop for a preschooler, one size too big. And let the person grow into their new responsibilities. That also resonated with me because I have a preschooler, but I really feel like that should be our focus as leaders. People and people's needs, listening to them rather than expecting them to listen to us first, and then working out what they do well, identifying roles and responsibilities they can take on to expand, and also going beyond the formal job responsibilities. Now, also, I think a lot about how could we carve out or design opportunities within the PMM role that could be added skills or new things to be learned, like another product or another segment that could fulfill or complement their current skills. Team leadership on specific topics, like a content POC or something else that could really help them lead the team into something. And of course, courses, events, and networking. I also help them to build their own personal development plan that is really focusing on what they want to do in a few years' time, but also carving out like what are they strong at, and also where could they improve on. And I have a few templates of that as well if you want, so you could catch me in the break. And a few final thoughts. So as you can see, it's not like this is your guide in building your PMM team. There's no one size fits all, kind of depends on a few more questions than what I just asked. But also this structure will inevitably change as the company evolves, as your team evolves. And you could talk to other PMMs who've done it before. I didn't know how to build my team before I did that, and I asked my peers, I asked my colleagues, and they did it before, they gave me some advice, and that helped. Socializing this team structure and goals with other stakeholders is really important. And the last thought is just that your people are the foundation of a successful team structure, so really focus on finding their strength. And that's it. Thank you.
Nicely done, Edith. There's a lot of questions here, and I think you're going to need to write down all of the books you mentioned somewhere and share them with everyone at some point. So, right, let's crack on. Where should a PMM focus on if the company is both sales and product-led business?
It's a good question. Well, it depends. Depends on the company goals in that stage. So the product-led versus sales-led kind of it reflects on the strategy of the company, right? How they fulfill growth. So usually they start with one and then add the other. So my question would be, okay, long term, where do they see their focus? Are they going to be sales-led? Or are they going to be product-led? Because if they're going to be product-led, there's a new, different types of capabilities that you need to introduce as a PMM from a skills perspective in order to focus on that. So it kind of depends on that long-term vision the company has.
There is a lot of industry chatter about product marketing reporting into the product org. What are the strengths and weaknesses of this approach?
Yeah, so I just had that conversation in the break. So we currently report into marketing. If I'm honest, we're actually reporting into the revenue organization, which is quite weird to me. But I feel like there's a lot of overlap when it comes to like reporting to marketing, when it comes to goals. They kind of understand each other better. But with product, it's a bit like, you're the marketing person, and you kind of don't understand what you're doing. So when you do report into product, it really helps get everyone like actually say, you're from my team. You have your marketing things going on, but you kind of share with me the goals of product adoption and revenue through product. So I feel like it kind of depends. It goes back to the who's your ally question. If your product is your ally and you're reporting into them, it's easier to find that common denominator. But if they don't get you, it's a real struggle.
So you talked us through sort of like 9 different options for potential
Yeah,
team
that's
alignments. If you
big
were
slide.
to say, give us your preferred team structure, which one would it be?
A hybrid model. I know it's a cheeky one, but to be honest, that's what works for us. I can't have it all for product lines because it didn't work. When it was all product lines, people were not talking to each other. And you have that audience approach and solution approach. It's really easy to look broader than what you're doing or what you're working on. You can actually get your peers together. You can understand how you tackle different nuances for audiences. I feel like it's a bit broader. So a hybrid model would be my preferred one.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that's everything. We've got a couple requests for your Goodreads username and to repeat all the books. Maybe if you're in the PMA Slack, you can drop some of them in there and you can get those recommendations. One more round of applause for Orit. Thank you.